konnichiwa. There are several plans or mother nuclear conflict zone in Northeast Asia. But actually, majority of Korean people, as well as Japanese people, is pessimistic to establish nuclear conflict zone in Northeast Asia. There are several doubts, mainly two doubts. People ask a question like that: will North Korea really abandon its nuclear program? It's the one question. The other question is abolishing nuclear umbrella and conventional deterrence is really realistic. It's the two doubts. These two doubts is a kind of prisoner's dilemma. So I'd like to slightly change this question like this. Is it really impossible to make North Korea abandon nuclear program? The second question is maintenance of the status quo based on deterring North Korea sustainable. Actually, in 2012, the North Korea officially redefined North Korea as a nuclear power by specifying the word in the Constitution, and they pushed ahead with the third nuclear test in February this year. Regardless whether neighboring countries, including South Korea, acknowledge North Korea has nuclear power or not, it is inevitable to have different approaches to solve North Korean nuclear issue. In this context, the suggestion that the National Defense Commission of North Korea made on June this year is worth of notice. The NDC specified how North Korea defined denuclearization and what North Korea wants from South Korea, the US, and other countries to do for denuclearization. The NDC emphasizes that denuclearization cannot be a precondition for resuming dialogue, but a common goal that should be achieved together. And the NDC specified three themes as a main agenda. First, an easing of strained military relations in the peninsula. Second, converting a current armistice mechanism into a permanent peace mechanism. And third, participating in establishing a nuclear-free world as a nuclear power. It seems that North Korea requires more in this suggestion than what is required in the Inter-Korean Joint Declaration of Denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula in 1992 and the Geneva Agreed Framework in 1994. Establishing a peaceful relationship on the Korean Peninsula and normalizing the DPRK U.S. diplomatic relations were North Korea's main requirements so far. Now, North Korea began to propose a nuclear weapon-free zone on the Korean Peninsula, which means that North Korea requires the U.S. to retract its nuclear umbrella policy towards South Korea and also Japan. Given that the Bush administration stipulated the preemptive use of nuclear weapons against world states such as North Korea and Iraq, this is an inevitable result because declaring this new, not so new, U.S. nuclear doctrine means its retraction of negative security assurance for North Korea. In fact, the U.S. attacked Iraq, who did not even possess nuclear power. In addition, the South Korean and the U.S. government not only maintained the strategic patient posture, but also institutionalized an extended deterrence policy committee to enhance the effectiveness of extended deterrence. Strengthening a hardline position drove the North Korean leadership to propose these enhanced requirements. It is not unreasonable for North Korea to require the U.S. to stop and eventually retract its intention to deliver a nuclear weapon to the to Korean Peninsula. Mentioning nuclear weapon-free zone as an agenda deserves a positive response because it corresponds to both policymakers and the civil movement seeking for a nuclear-free zone. Let me talk about another question. Is maintenance of the status quo based on deterring North Korea sustainable? Today, the South Korean and the U.S. government are pressing North Korea in various ways. Diplomatically, they isolate North Korea by suggesting strict preconditions for resuming dialogue. Economically, they put considerable efforts on imposing multiple forms of sanctions on North Korea while hesitating to help with humanitarian assistance. And militarily, they focus on reinforcing deterrent and retaliatory capabilities. These policies seem to aim to maintain the status quo of the current armistice regime on the Korean Peninsula and compel North Korea to unilaterally change itself through imposing pressure and responding with passive conversation. Since nuclear tests by North Korea, both the South Korean and the U.S. governments are taking multiple military measures under the justification of reinforcing deterrence against North Korea. First, the South Korean government adopted an active deterrence strategy, a strategy that once South Korea senses any symptom of North Korea's use of nuclear weapons, we will preemptively attack the target location. The U.S. government is also committed to maintaining and reinforcing the extended deterrence that consists of a nuclear umbrella, a conventional armament, and a missile defense. Furthermore, Seoul, Washington, and Tokyo accelerate consultation on the establishment of a MD system between the three countries. Thus, they increase the number and intensity of joint military exercises. However, it is doubtful whether these measures will bring peace to the Korean Peninsula and the Northeast Asia, or make North Korea abandon its nuclear power. For imposing deterrence against North Korea with military exercise is likely to cause accidental armed clashes that could be escalated. Increasing armament to reinforce deterrence against North Korea will make it more difficult to solve North Korean nuclear issues. We should realize that the strong motive and strategic background of North Korea developing nuclear capability are to countervail its conventional military inferiority to those of the ROK US military alliance. Establishing MD system contains several problems besides technological limitation and controversy of cost effectiveness. The reality is the complete opposite of the US argument that MD system would discourage North Korea from developing its missile capability. In addition, an MD system aggravates strategic distrust between the US and China, and thus discourages China in playing a constructive role in solving the Korean Peninsula problem. This type of coercive diplomacy raises doubt that Washington utilized the North Korean WMD threat as justification for its pivot to Asia plan or rebalancing strategy. Their actual purpose is to hold China in check. Moreover, as Washington requires Seoul to participate in an MD system and sign a military intelligence pact with Japan, this would arouse criticism of the US and also the Japanese and Korea. In conclusion, the current armistice situation is likely to make the Korean Peninsula gradually unstable, so that unlikely to be continued. Therefore, South Korea and the US should closely reconsider their policy against North Korea. The so-called Korean Peninsula confidence building process and strategic patience, which are likely to maintain the status quo on the peninsula in the long term. Therefore, new approach toward North Korea should be based on active but peaceful efforts to change the status quo, the peaceful conversion from the current armistice to a permanent peace system. My specific suggestion about new approach was presented yesterday. Some Korean group, PSPD and Peace Network, and other groups are preparing an alternative peace policy report on Korean Peninsula and Northeast Asia. we will publish that report in the end of this month. That's it.